Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live on Friday the 18th of August. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on a Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Get the Friday feeling, I think. So yeah, I'm delighted to be back talking about Celtic again. You can't whack it basically.
The weekend is here. Celtic head to Rugby Park to play Kilmarnock in the League Cup on Sunday. But first and foremost, as we always do every day, guys, we direct your attention to the strapline running along the bottom of your screen, and we ask you to subscribe to the Celtic Way website and help support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Current deal is £4 for 4 months of unlimited access to everything we write on the site. And you can visit the site and subscribe at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, I go off for a day, Ryan, and it all seems to kick off and it all seems to happen. Lagerbielke signed for Celtic, gave his first press conference, and there's a wee rumbling of the ticket row still rumbling on, Ryan. Celtic refusing 708 tickets for Ibrox. Rangers demanding that Celtic give them tickets for the fixture in December. Now, for anybody who, well, for those that know me and kind of follow the stuff on the website, I've already written about this. I wrote about it in March. I'll post a link up again in the comments section. There it's there for you to read. And basically, I borrowed Ian Crocker's line when Odsonne Edouard scored at Ibrox in the 3-2 game. And it's keep your distance, Rangers. That's the message from Celtic. Keep your distance. And I still stand by what I wrote there, saying that it's time Celtic called Rangers bluff on this, because if you're going to have a meaningful discussion, there has to be two adults in the room. And I think at this moment in time, Celtic are acting like adults. Rangers aren't. It's a problem of their making, because I think that was Celtic's fourth one at Ibrox on the spin. And quite simply, dummies were spat out, Ryan. And you can rewrite or reframe the narrative, rewrite history all you want, but I think everybody knows that was the game that became unpalatable for a lot of Rangers fans, seeing Celtic supporters continue to celebrate victories. That was the fourth, I say, on the spin at Ibrox, and it's now become a real row that's rumbled on. The SPFL could eventually get involved, and I think Celtic have done very well to keep their noses clean and their powder dry on this, and played it well so far, Ryan. But wanted to get your own take on it, what you think about it. But have a look at that article, guys. You'll see that's my reading of it, and my view of it. But I think any attempts to draw Celtic into any kind of row and point the finger or blame Ryan are well wide of the mark. And I also mentioned that there's been safety issues with Celtic players, with the physio who get hit with a bottle, and also pundits, Celtic-minded pundits like Chris Sutton, whose safety couldn't be guaranteed. It's all in that piece, guys. If you want to read it, stand by it. I'll keep posting it up, and as long as this row rumbles on, because that's the way I feel. And I would just like people to get their heads together, Ryan. And I'm small faces on this one, all or nothing. Back to the original allocations for both clubs. That's it.
Yeah, I understand why they can't give the full Broom loan stand because of season tickets and they would need to move people. I understand that, but 700 tickets, it's diluting the derby at the end of the day. The derby is the most marketable thing about the Scottish League, whether people like it or not. You know, it's the two biggest teams in the country by some distance. When the two clash, it is a big event. The rest of Scottish football, and to be fair, English football and English football fans do watch the game as well. You know, it's a spectacle, it's a showpiece game. It just seems as if there's some sides that want to dilute it and make it into a nothingness. You know, it's something that yes, I know that the rivalry can be quite fierce and things can happen both on and off the pitch, but it's the best fixture in Scottish football by some distance. And you know, I don't think I don't think the broadcasters will be too happy that this is going on as well, because what makes these games, apart from what happens on the pitch, is the atmosphere that happens off the pitch. We'd much rather have other spectators in there, because then it brings a more tribal atmosphere between the two. You know, it brings about that spectacle, the showpiece. Because at the end of the day, if you take that away from it, it's just 11 against 11. I know it. I know that isn't the case with this game, but the fans make it just as much as the players do on the pitch. And I feel like the can is just proverbially getting kicked down the road again and again and again. You know, there's other teams like Ajax, Liverpool, they get the European allocation when they go to Ibrox. Why can't Celtic get the same? You know, I think it's time for the Scottish, I think it's time for the SFA to get involved and just sort this out, because, you know, it's within their best interests in terms of marketing deals, in terms of sponsorships, TV deals, to get this derby back to what it was before. You know, it was a great spectacle, and now it just seems like a sideshow. Whenever a game comes around, there seems to be more talk about how many fans are going to be at the game, rather than how many away fans are going to be at the game, rather than the actual game itself. And that's a problem. I think we need to get back to the football, back to the rivalry, and just bring back, or as close to as possible, the original allocations. I think Celtic haven't done anything wrong in this situation. You know, I think they've covered themselves well. Rangers are offering Celtic 700 tickets. That's derisory, in my opinion. They should be getting a lot more. They should at least be getting the European allocation. It's up to Rangers at the end of the day to keep the safety, to get the safety checks coordinated and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think the can is getting kicked down the road here again and again and again, and I just want it sorted, to be honest, because I'm getting bored of talking about it.
I blame Brendan Rodgers and Odsonne Edouard, to be honest. How dare Brendan Rodgers make a substitution for a striker with 10 men and go and win the game? And yeah, you know, you can trace it back to that. And it is the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of Rangers fans. There was a campaign, I think there was a campaign, wasn't there, for it to happen, to limit the amount of Celtic supporters that came in. And I also make the point in the piece that I wrote that Celtic supporters had to put up with, I think it was like 18,000 Rangers supporters during the 90s, when everything was rosy for Rangers, and never once did Celtic tinker with their allocation and put up with a lot during that, and it was never once mentioned. So, you know, I just think we need to be sensible here. You need to get everybody that can possibly be involved, the SFA, the SPFL, Celtic and Rangers, and discuss this like adults. As you say, they're just kicking the can down the road. We're sick of it, and you're going to see in a couple of weeks another Glasgow derby where there is no away fans. Certainly dilutes the spectacle, Ryan, as you say. Don't know how Sky will feel about that. They're the broadcaster. You know, they won't want that to continue. And yeah, so we'll see what happens for the derby in December. But certainly Rangers have written to the SPFL making demands, which I find quite ironic and a bit laughable about that, because
I think it's trying to shift the narrative.
Yeah, of course it is, and also trying to paint Celtic in some kind of bad light here as well, and draw them into an argument not of their making at all. So we shall see what happens. But we thought we would discuss it, and I would get your take on it. As I say, you can read my thoughts. That I wrote that back in March. Ange Postecoglou was still the manager. Wow. And he's quoted in it as well.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
Correct, it does. So yeah, Alistair Ross echoing my sentiment. Celtic won there 4 times in a row under Rodgers, and it broke Rangers supporters and led to this nonsense. I think that's the thrust of my piece. That yeah, it was...
Celtic have Celtic have done probably the worst possible thing, and bring back the guy that caused all this in the first place back to the forefront of their attention to begin with. So yeah, his record at Ibrox was pretty good over his spell as manager. So
Thomas Burns coming in. Celtic are the only club trying to get more fans into this fixture. Funny that, Thomas, isn't it? But there you have it.
think
So
history will be kind to Celtic on that regard, because, you know, when fans are looking back 20, 30 years, hopefully, and I'm saying this hopefully because you're hoping that this won't be the case down the line in 10, 20 years. That sounds quite bleak to say that just now, but hopefully it gets back to a place where it can be back to where it was. But, you know, history will be kind to Celtic here. Celtic are one of the ones that are actively trying to push for the allocations to be of a decent standard. There's only one team that don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and maybe moving forward, the stopgap would be the European allocations, Ryan, which I think would end up something like 2,500, 3,000, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
which would be okay, but I'd still rather a all or nothing. I'm a kind of all or nothing guy. Get it back to the original 7,000, 7,500 for both clubs, which is what it was, I think, dating back to 1998 when reconstruction in Celtic's ground was finished. I believe it dates back to that. So yeah, it's going to rumble on. You're talking about everything other than the football in the lead up to the Derby match on September the 3rd. Wish we weren't, but it is going to rumble on and we shall see what happens. But just wanted to get your thoughts on it, Ryan, as well, and see where we are with it. But
yeah, it's basically a copy and paste of where I was a couple of months ago, to be honest, and it will continue to be until
yeah,
the needle is moved on this. But it seems only it seems that one side are more cooperative than the other. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah. And Hazel Finn saying ludicrous. That says it all. It certainly does, Hazel. But on to matters football now, Ryan, and the beautiful game and all that. And just before we came on air, there was some news concerning Celtic, and Stephen Welsh has signed a new deal. Klaxon going off in my head saying, there, without giving too much away about your starting 11, spoiler alert, could that be that Stephen Welsh could be in line to play on Sunday because he came on at Pittodrie for Cameron Carter-Vickers and did very well, even though Gustaf Lagerbielke is in the building, or as we call him, Ryan, Lager. There you go. But yes, Stephen Welsh signed a new deal, Ryan. You said to me off air there, the manager clearly likes him, and that's good enough for you.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Good Coatbridge boy as well. You know, it's good to see him getting a new contract with the club. You know, I think I've been a bit.
The Coatbridge Cannavaro, I heard them refer to it last
Yeah,
night
a
online
prominent.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, I knew this was going to be in the pipeline because I believe that account is also from down my way as well. So he must have caught word that Stephen Welsh was in line for a new contract. Rodgers has been pretty clear with Stephen Welsh.
yes,
He said that he's wanted him to stay. You know, I think Stephen Welsh is very happy with his lot, and I have been very mixed about the player in the past because there's been some games where I think he's looked like a fish out of water. Basically, there's been games in which he's really struggled, but I think the game at Pittodrie was a real turning point for me, especially. I thought coming on at half time for Cameron Carter-Vickers, that is big shoes to fill in terms of Carter-Vickers coming off. I know he'd made a mistake for the goal, but his overall presence in the team, you take that away and the defence looks a wee bit weaker. But you wouldn't have thought that on Sunday because I thought Stephen Welsh and Mike Nawrowski, they both did really well in steadying the ship. You know, they kept a clean sheet in the second half when Aberdeen were probing forward and trying to make chances. I know they didn't get as many chances on target, but you know they still had quite a bit of the ball in the second half. But Nawrowski and Welsh, they stood firm throughout that 45 minutes and they got the win for the team. Yeah, it seems as if Brendan Rodgers really rates the player. He likes what he brings to the team. Also, he's part of the homegrown quota, so that's very important to get him signed up. If he's happy with his lot, you know, if he wasn't happy and he wanted to move and get more first team football, then I would have been fine with that. Also, you know, there's been links with Udinese and other Italian teams in the past, but at the end of the day, you know, it's no secret that Stephen Welsh is a massive Celtic fan, and I think you need some Celtic fans in that team as well that really know what it's like to support the club as well as play for the club. Celtic's all he knows basically, apart from that loan spell out at, was it Airdrie or Clyde? It was one or the other. I think it might have been Clyde actually, but he went out on loan and came back. But apart from that, he's only known Celtic, so it's good to have a guy around the team. I still think he's got some improving to do. I'm not saying that can't be the case. He's only 23, so there's plenty of development left in him, and he's working under the best manager that could get the best out of him in the future. So yeah, I think I've warmed to this more and more. Especially, I think that performance on Sunday really helped. Long story short,
the manager spoke in glowing terms about him on Sunday. So, and then Callum McGregor came in and also spoke very highly of him. So he's clearly valued in the dressing room. And, as you said there, we go with the manager's thoughts on it. If the manager wants him, and then that's led to him signing a new deal, for whatever reason, you can be sceptical and say it's about the home quota and all that. But I'm all for it. I do think Welsh still has some maturing and developing to do, but then who's the best man to do that? And I think Brendan Rodgers thinks he can. He said he wanted 4 competing centre backs, didn't he?
There's your 4.
There's your 4th. Yeah,
pretty much all the other jigsaw pieces need to fall into place. All those jigsaw pieces that don't fit into that jigsaw, they can be discarded. Unfortunately, you know what that means for the players that are on the sort of periphery of things. It's arguably one of the 5th or 6th choices is now at Fleetwood as well. I don't know if we were going to go out to talk about him, but Bosun Lawal's going to learn under Scott Brown, joining Adam Montgomery. It seems as if Fleetwood are a bit of a feeder club for Celtic at this point in time. You've got to use that. You've got to use that link if it's there. League One, Celtic signed arguably League One's best player in Matt O'Reilly a season and a half ago, so the standard is good down there. So that's a good sort of testing ground for Montgomery and Bosun Lawal to learn in. But I think for other players like Scales and Kobayashi, at this moment anyway, for their Celtic careers, I think the writing's on the wall.
They're certainly down the pecking order, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mo Sislak comes in. Yes, give Welsh and home a chance this week. He's talking about Rugby Park. Plunge McNugget, he's disappointed that Stephen Welsh has signed a new deal because he deems him not good enough. Robert Gibson comes in. Glad Welsh has been kept on. At least he has a crack, unlike Alexandro Bernabe and Yuki Kobayashi and Andrew Galea coming in, saying Celtic supporters are too hard on the fringe players. Welsh is good value. Now, Brown Warrior makes this point. He says, directs it to me, but directed Tony and Ryan, could Welsh not be rebranded as this big, strong defensive midfielder we've been looking for? I believe he has the basic requirements to do so. Maybe that's what Brendan Rodgers has in mind, but he did say he wanted 4 competing centre-backs, and I think with Carter, Vickers, Nabrowski, Lagerbielke and Welsh, I think that's your 4. Permany 2 from 4, or if they go to a 3 at any time, which he might do, and Andrew Galea coming back. So I'm not discounting that, Brown Warrior. Brendan Rodgers likes to tweak things. He's done it with Kyogo already so far. Matt O'Reilly said he's tweaked things as well with his game. So we shall see. And Andrew Galea come back in saying Welsh has to play this weekend. Now, turning our attentions to this weekend, Ryan, Kilmarnock. Good to see Derek McInnes is over. The old penalty incident involving, again, another player who seems like a lifetime away, Georges Giakoumakis. He did laugh when he was saying it. He did say, get over it, Derek, type thing, and there was some laughs from the assembled media there. But I just thought it was a wee warning shot over the bow, Ryan, to Sunday's official. If the same things happens again, make sure you're on it type thing. And not saying he's applying pressure on the official, but I think he's in a roundabout way just saying keep your eyes open for things, because clubs like Kilmarnock need these decision to go for them if they have any chance in the game type thing. So you can say it was wise, you can say it was unwise, depending on what kind of side of the fence you sit on. But as you say to me, it was a game, 7-8 months ago?
Mm-hmm. Around about that time, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still confident that whatever team Brendan Rodgers puts out on Sunday, Celtic can go there and win the game. Decent record at Rugby Park in recent times. Surface is always going to come into question, which brings you on to Welsh or Lagerbielke type thing. But but I still feel that Celtic as you start the defence of the trophy, can go there and win, Ryan? Bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Start as you mean to go on in the competition. It's knockout football. Something's got to give in this game. You know, a winner will be found in 90 or 120 minutes. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. It always is at Rugby Park. Out with the the surface that Celtic will find themselves to be playing on. Kilmarnock have had a really good start to the season, 4 points in their opening 2 games, you know,
Yep.
but it was against Rangers away, Rangers at home, and then Hearts away. So to accumulate 4 points really does show the improvements that they're making under Derek McInnes. There's no doubting that Derek McInnes is a good manager. You know, he was linked with the Rangers job, remember, 5-6 years ago. So
Yes.
he is a decent operator, especially for this level. I think he's definitely one of the better managers in the league, in the Scottish Premiership. So yeah, he'll definitely have a couple of plans up his sleeve in terms of how to stop Celtic. His team defended so well in that game against. I didn't catch the Hearts game, but the Rangers game, they defended so well. Robbie Dees, who used to be at Celtic, I believe, he had a great performance in the centre of defence. He had a really good performance, yeah, but it's one of those ones where I think, like I say, for most games, if Celtic turn up and play to the best of their abilities, then that should be too much for Kilmarnock. You know, the difference in finances and the difference in quality of players, you know, the firepower that Celtic have at their disposal, even with a couple of niggly injuries, it's you know, they've still got enough in the tank, I think, to beat Kilmarnock. I'm not saying it won't be a tough game. It will be, especially away from home on the plastic pitch. Not ideal. We both know our opinions on the plastic pitches. But that would be talking about stuff away from football. I know they still play in that pitch, but it's still politics at the end of the day, I would say, with regard to the changing of a playing surface. Whatever reason they've got for that, I don't know. But maybe they can work it better or manage it better in the winter months. But I think the Kilmarnock one's the best of two evils in terms of that and the in terms of that and the Livingston one. So yeah, it's annoying to play on the plastic pitches, but I will say that there are some players at Celtic that seem to suit playing on plastic pitches. I think some of Daizen Maeda's best performances for Celtic have come on plastic pitches. He seems to really get a key out of playing on that surface. So I think he'd be one of the first names on the team sheet for me personally.
Spoiler alert for he's 11. Now, Thomas Gallagher comes in a bit early with this one, Thomas, but I brought it up anyway. Tony, what's your prediction for the score? You got it right against Aberdeen. Just wanted to say to the young Jedi there, Ryan McGinlay, old Yoda here, got his starting 11 right and his scoreline prediction right last week. Carlsberg weekend for your old
What's
dad. You know what I mean?
What's the lottery numbers for the weekend, Tony?
Somebody did ask me that as well, but I'm arguably good, but not that good. But we shall come to that, Thomas, at the end. We always give our score predictions at the end. Now, obviously, the dilemma being Welsh or Lagerbielke, Ryan. Without giving too much away, my preference would be for Stephen Welsh, only because I just wouldn't want to risk Gustaf Lagerbielke on that surface for his first game. I would like to see him take his bow at home, if possible. But again, the manager, he's been playing, we spoke about it, his fitness is fine. But Gustaf Lagerbielke spoke to the media yesterday, came across very well, and he was asked a couple of things, you know, about his playing style and if he modelled himself on any specific defenders. And this is what he had to say. He said, I would describe myself as a player who loves to win and does everything for the team. I can handle both short and long range passes, and I enjoy duelling in the air. I also hope to score a few goals. Virgil van Dijk, who has been here before, is a huge inspiration in terms of on and off the pitch. He is very professional and keen on getting better all the time. On the pitch, of course, with his leadership and passing and duelling, he's a really good player. And he said that he wouldn't want to say he looks too far forward, but he just wanted to, because he was asked about can he achieve what Virgil van Dijk achieved, and he just sort of said he looked forward to the next training session, and there's a game on Sunday and he wants to focus on that. And he said if he made the same impact as Virgil van Dijk, he said he was a great player and he did a lot of great things. He's an inspiration. So there you go, Ryan, a wee insight into what floats Gustaf Lagerbielke's boat. But you know, I like the fact he said he gives everything for the team and he likes to score goals. So he's coming up for corners and he's going to be a big presence and he's going to stick his head on things. And you know what I'm like? I like big guys to stick their head on things in both boxes. When it's in the air, go and win it, go and knock it away to safety, or go and challenge for it and try and score your team goal. So, yep, I'm all for that. And I like the fact that he named a player as an inspiration in Virgil van Dijk. A lot of players say they don't model their game on MD, but it's just nice that he's picked arguably, or a guy who was rated as the best defender in the world a couple of seasons ago. Set a high bar there, Ryan. You know what I mean? So, and if he's anything like Virgil, then the Celtic supporters will love him, won't they?
If he's half as good as Virgil van Dijk, we're on to a winner. What a player. I think he was in first gear when he was in Scotland, if I'm being perfectly honest. Just like a cheat code. Virgil van Dijk felt like a cheat code in the Celtic defence, almost as if they had to put Effie Ambrose beside him to put him down a tiny bit. I know they had Jason Denayer as well in that season, but I know that Van Dijk played alongside Effie Ambrose too, and Charlie Mulgrew as well. So he was always the standout. He was always a standout defender in that team, and then he did the same down south. He basically did the same for 2 years, and then got a £75 million move to Liverpool just because he played for Southampton. I maintain the fact that he was basically the same player, but he was just playing down in England. So that English sort of tax, or the Premier League tax, came through, and that was in Southampton were the main beneficiaries of that. But yeah, I can see why Lagerbielke is saying that he does model his game on Van Dijk. There are a couple of similarities, not in terms of the quality of the player, because I don't want to put that on a player too early, but in the style of play that he tries to implement into his game. He likes that long ball that Van Dijk did. I remember Van Dijk doing that loads of times, that sort of chipped ball, cross-field pass. He does like that as well. You know, his numbers, Lagerbielke's numbers for doing it, it's incredible for Elfsborg. And the fact that Nawrowski and Alan Morrison and I were talking about this yesterday, it seems as if that's an area where Celtic have actively scouted on. They've looked for players that are in that model that can pass the ball forward in that way. You didn't see that much under Ange Postecoglou, but you're going to see that a whole lot more under Brendan Rodgers. Players like Daizen Maeda and Kyogo, that'll be music to their ears, because he can just run onto that for days. Liel Abada as well, he's better when he's running onto balls rather than trying to beat a man, I would say. So yeah, that really does suit the team. And yeah, if he can defend, that's absolutely brilliant. You know, that's the be all and end all. But if he's got the passing game, the long passing game and short passing, then you know, I think Celtic could be on to a winner here. He's made his debut for Sweden, so he's already in the manager's thoughts in that regard. So I think Celtic have got him at the right time. You know, he's only going to improve from here on out. He was very, very. I liked his comments, especially on the fact that he likes to optimise his game by using nutrition and reading up on techniques and how to be a better football player and a better athlete off the pitch as well. So it's a guy that clearly has his head screwed on, and that can only mean good things for Celtic, I think, in the long term.
Brown Murray, I like this comment. Look forward to seeing the Swedish Charlie Mulgrew launching those big raking diagonals to the wingers. There you go. I would have said kind of Ronald Koeman type passes, but the Swedish Charlie Mulgrew, I'm sure Lagerbielke will be delighted for that comparison. Peter Christie coming in, Elfsborg playing a plastic pitch, as do many Swedish clubs. No problem for Lager. Indeed, I've no qualms about Lagerbielke starting on Sunday if the manager decides to do that, because he's been playing, so he's very, very fit. My only reservation is the plastic pitch. That's all. And I know if he's used to them, so be it. But I would have no qualms about Welsh starting either. So Plunge McNugget saying Welsh deserves he-haw, says Plunge McNugget, fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion on players. But Michael Ross coming in and saying Welsh Moreland deserves his place. So I just thought Celtic, when Welsh played on Sunday, coped very well with an Aberdeen team who were coming on strong to them. And I think he's, you know, my thoughts are sometimes you have that yellow jersey, don't you? And you run with it until such times when the manager decides to take it from you. So I would, without going too much into my starting or predicted 11, I think you'll find that Welsh will feature in my starting 11. And I wrote a piece about Odin Thiago home, so you know where I'm going with that one as well, in terms of spoiler alerts and starting 11s. But don't know if you want to enlighten anyone, Ryan, as to your starting 11, or give any teasers or give some secrets away. But yeah, I feel that this game's tailor-made for some Brendan Rodgers to tinker with his team and put in guys that you want to see more of. Let's just say that.
Yeah, there's definitely some performances, especially recently, that could indicate that might be the case against Kilmarnock. They deserve the spot. I'm not going to give too much away because I know we'll be doing our predicted lineups today for the website tomorrow. But yeah, I think there will be a couple of changes. Be interesting to see who's picked in defence, whether or not. I think it'll be. I don't even think this is a spoiler to say this. I think it'll be Nawrocki and somebody else. Nawrocki's solidified his place already in that back line, and that's exactly what you want from a defender coming into the club. You know, he's made that position his own already. He's came in. By this time, just a tad. I know he got that injury, which kept him out of the Wolves game, but he's been ever present ever since the Athletic Club game. So, yeah, you get the best possible look at him because he's hardly been out of the side. He's just been in and then he's stayed there. So, yeah, I was really impressed by him on Sunday, especially. I thought it was a real show of leadership from a 22-year-old defender. You know, it was a performance that was a. That could have been made by a 27, 28-year-old at Pittodrie. You know, I think older players could have even crumbled in that sort of situation, but I thought he held himself really well, and he showed that he has what it takes to be a Celtic player when the going gets tough.
Andrew Gillier gone early with his team selection. Hart, Ralston, Welsh, Nawrocki, Taylor, Iwata, McGregor, Home, Yang, Maida and Forrest. There you go. If you want to throw your team selections up, I'll maybe try and read a couple out, guys. So there you go. But we spoke about Yang, didn't we? Saying that he did well in his cameo, and again,
very well.
Yeah, he might feature in lots of people's starting 11 on Sunday because he's another one who, use that word, is intriguing people and they want to see more of. And like Home has come on, and in the cameos that he's come on, he's played very, very well. So that would, I'm erring towards that as well. But we will discuss where we will put our selected 11s in today, and that will form the newsletter, won't it? So we'll see what happens. But there's certainly food for thought in this one, isn't there, Ryan? Don't want to overthink it, but I just think there's scope for the manager to shake things up a bit, isn't there?
Yeah, you want him to shake it up, but keeping a strong core as well. There's certain players that, for me, would be absolutely undroppable in that team. But as long as you mix that with maybe a wee bit of rotation, then I think you should still be able to get away with it. I don't want to see wholesale changes, but maybe 3 or 4 would be quite good to sort of freshen it up and give players that are deserving of a first team opportunity that chance.
Yeah, I said last Sunday after it that it was an ideal game, but you have to pick a team. Don't be disrespectful to your opponents, but pick a strong team with, as you say, maybe 2 or 3 changes that will get you, the result, the required result, because you are putting your treble on the line here. So, and Rodgers is well aware of that. So, like you, I think there'll be certainties in the team. It won't just be like 5 or 6 or 7 changes like that, because you're going to Rugby Park. You're going to a team who's already turned over Rangers in the opening game of the season, so they will be feeling pretty confident. As you say, 4 points from 6, decent start for Kilmarnock, and this will be another test for them, a wee gauge to see if they can maintain some kind of momentum. So I say go and snuff that out. Make your changes, but make them with obviously getting a decent result behind you again and moving into the next round, which is what it's all about. It's the nature of cup football, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's like I said before, it's a knockout tie. There has to be a winner on the day. So Celtic have got to take it professionally and go out and try and win, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is a title defence. It's a defence of their domestic trophy that's been in Celtic's possession for the past 2 years. They don't want to lose that, especially in the first hurdle. I think there are some positions where there has to be changes, because, I mean, Haggerty was having a great game for 20 minutes before he came off injured. David Turnbull didn't have the best 45 minutes of his Celtic career at Pittodrie. So I think that's opened a discussion on who's going to play in that position going forward. Turnbull might get the nod. It might suit him being on a plastic pitch, or it could be Odin Thiago home. It'll be a great chance to see him start the game. I know you were advocating for that earlier on in the week. I'd be quite interested to see that transpire, to be honest. There's other positions as well in the park that could be quite interesting, but I think the midfield and left wing are two of the most interesting areas going forward in terms of squad selection.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we will put our selected 11s into the system, and you can read them if you sign up for the news. If you're a subscriber and you get the newsletter, you'll get that about 5 o'clock, Ryan, is that right? Yeah, something like that?
Yeah, 5 o'clock the newsletter comes out.
Yeah, so the newsletter will be myself, Ryan and Aidan's 11s to face Kilmarnock. But what kind of game are you expecting, Ryan? I think it'll be a tough one. Again, I think you'll see a Kilmarnock team like Aberdeen that will come at you the same as last week, and Celtic might have to, withstand a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think because it's a cup tie, Kilmarnock will want to come out the traps a wee bit more. Since it's a one-off, you need to win the game in order to go through to the next round, whether that be a normal time, extra time, or potentially penalties. We don't want that. Don't want penalties at all. I don't. I will never ever in my life trust Celtic with a penalty. I'm that way inclined. I'm always a bit nervous when Celtic go up to the penalty spot. But yeah, I think it'll be more open than what it would be in a league game. I think they'd be more cagey. I think Kilmarnock would be more cagey in a league setting, because they'd have maybe like a point to play for, or they'd maybe go in the counter-attack. But I'm just hoping for a more 50-50 game, because that would in turn suit Celtic more. I think Celtic are at their best so far this season when they've been hitting teams on the counter-attack, because that movement from back to front, when they're withstanding a bit of pressure, then they can just go forward with Maeda and Kyogo and Abada. As a sight to behold. It's very, very dangerous, because Kilmarnock will have players up the pitch, and then Celtic can just push forward and hit them on the counter. So I'm hoping it's a bit more of an open game. I think both sides will go for it, and I'm just hoping for a good spectacle and Celtic to come out the other side as winners, to be honest.
Without a doubt. Now, you can probably hear my dogs going mental in the background. Don't know what's going on, but there are 4 of them. So, yes, there's the occasional noise sometimes. So, sorry about that. Hope it's not spoiling your enjoyment of the briefing. But, yeah, I think it'll be a full-blooded cup tie, Ryan. I really do. I think it'll be a decent spectacle. But again, I'm quite confident that Celtic have the personnel to go down to Ayrshire and win some decent recent results there. There was a 5-0, wasn't there? At the beginning of last year, Moritz Jens did the overhead kick. But
Yakimakis did the same.
Yeah, 2 overhead kicks, that's right. Yeah, that's why it stuck in my mind. That was a very accomplished performance from Celtic that day. So I would like to see that. I'd like to see them do that again.
Yeah, 5-0 would be an absolutely brilliant sort of rerun. I'd even take the 4-1 the away from home game when we played them last. I think they were 4-0 up after about 20, just before half time. So yeah, that was a great away performance. It's a ground that hasn't really troubled Celtic all that much over the past year or so, which is good. You worry about Celtic on these plastic pitches, but it seems, especially for Livingston as well, Celtic have been getting results at both of these grounds, which is great. I think it shows that it's more of a mental thing than a physical thing. I know there is differences with the way the ball bounces, but I think players can go into sort of apprehensive that they're playing on plastic, and they know that the bounce of the ball and the way things transpire on the pitch can be a bit unpredictable. So yeah, I'm glad that's been shaken, because it was a really annoying sort of reoccurrence that happened every season. You're just hoping that can stay the same this season under Brendan Rodgers. I know he never won it. He never won at Livingston in his Celtic career. I think he only went there once, but it was a nothing each draw. But yeah, I'm just hoping that at the weekend Celtic can just go out and do the business, professional performance, make it as less of a spectacle as you can, basically, and just win the game, and then just go home with your name in the hat for the next round.
Mystery solved. It's the window cleaner that's turned up. That's why the dogs are going tonto. There you have it. Yes, no, I agree. It's all about being in the hat for the next round, and trying to make it as stress-free as possible. And I think Celtic are growing into the season. A decent result against Ross County, decent result against Aberdeen, and I think you're encouraged by it because you know there's more to come. The manager said there's more to come. Matt O'Reilly said there's more to come as well. So you say to yourself, okay, once it clicks into place, there could be again some wonderful performances lying ahead, and I would like Sunday to be one of those days, Ryan, or as you say, you don't want it to become a good old-fashioned cup tie. Well, if it's a good old-fashioned cup tie, you want it to just be a one-way good old-fashioned cup tie, don't you?
Yeah, you're just wanting it to be, as I said before, as less a spectacle as you can. I don't know what your dogs have to say about that. It seems as if they're getting in on the podcast as well. It's something that can't be helped, obviously, but yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how Kilmarnock play the game, because they could easily sit back and defend, or they could go out and they could go out and make it a real cup tie. I think either way it suits Celtic, because if they go out and attack, then they'll be there in the counter attack, or if they go and defend, Celtic will just have to find a way of unlocking that defence and how they sit behind the ball. But yeah, it's I think it all depends on what team Celtic play. If Kilmarnock are resolute, then it could be a difficult afternoon. But you're just hoping that the quality will shine through, and that Celtic will be too much for their opponents. But that's not to underestimate them. They seem like they're a really good team. They've made some really good signings over the summer as well. McKenna, the boy from McGuinness from Hibs. They also signed Marley Watkins from Aberdeen, I believe. So yeah, they've been bringing in guys that know the league and know what it's like to play for a manager like McInnes. So yeah, good signings. It's clear that McInnes has been backed, and Celtic will have to do everything in their power to basically put Kilmarnock out at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's sorry, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, I'll reiterate, I hope it's not spoiling your enjoyment, but they just go off their head when the window cleaner comes. I don't even know what day he comes, but it's a Friday today, so I'm not sure when he turns up, but there you have it. But I agree with that, Ryan. I just want Celtic to go there and minimum of first get the job done, be as professional and clinical as they can. I hope that the team that plays and then the team that finishes, I just hope they emerge unscathed in terms of injuries, because they obviously lost Cameron Carter-Vickers last week, and also Rio Hitati to injury, and the prognosis in them's a few weeks out, isn't it? So, which is not good. So that's enough in terms of injuries. I'm hoping that Celtic had their bad luck at the start of the season for that, which is another reason why I'd be really reluctant to play Gustaf Lagerbielke, just because of the way the luck's been going, so you just, but again, the manager might just feel you've been playing, you're fit, no time like the present, so it's one of them, isn't it? So
yeah, it's I think even if Carter-Vickers was fit for this game, I know he was taken off with a precaution. Brendan Rodgers will speak later on today and update everybody on the prognosis of his injury situation. You're hoping that it was just precaution and he was brought off the pitch, but even if he was really fit, I wouldn't want him on the plastic pitch anyway. There's just no point in risking him even further. I think it's worth taking the risk and maybe put even a lesser defender. I get that all defenders are probably lesser when it comes to Carter-Vickers. He's just head and shoulders above everybody else at the club, I would say, in a defensive sense. But yeah, I think it's better to just... I don't think there'll be a much happier sight than seeing him on the bench or in the stands, because then I know he's not playing on the plastic pitch and risking himself, aggravating his injury even more. So, yeah, I think either Welsh or Lagerbielke, I'd be quite happy with either or, to be honest. But it'll be Nawrocki and somebody else.
Yeah. Like this from Francis P. Green, it's fine, Tony. The dogs will bark, but the caravan moves on. Indeed. Indeed. There you go.
Yeah, I understand the reference.
yeah, of course. Yeah, listen, it's a tricky tie for Celtic, there's no doubt about it, but I still maintain the quality's there in abundance for Celtic, and with 2 or 3 changes that I think the manager could make, or certainly will be in my starting 11 just to freshen it up. I think it'll give Celtic impetus in attack as well to go and get the job done, as far as I'm concerned, and be in the next round. But yes, I guess we'll turn our attention to predictions. Ryan, do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
Well, I'll go first.
Go on then.
I think Celtic's name will be in the hat for the next round. I think they'll get too much for Kilmarnock at the end of the day. I think both teams will score, so I think it will be the same score as it was last weekend. I think it'll be 3-1 Celtic, and I think that'd be a great result.
Hazel Finn comes in. She tried to listen to this yesterday when I won the Clean Up. Couldn't hear a thing for her dogs. Fair enough. 4-0 says Jerry Smith. Jason Lee, Celtic 3-1. He's saying Jerry O'Rourke saying 3-0 to Celtic. Get your scoreline predictions coming on, guys. 2-1 says Robert Gibson. 4-1 says Hazel Finn. Do you know what? I think Kilmarnock will score, and I'm going to agree with Hazel. I think it'll be 4-1 as well. 3-0 says Andrew Galea. Thomas Gallagher 4-1, 3-0, and Jason Lee saying he thinks he'll see a lot of 3-1 results this year. 4-1 Celtic, says 1888 CFC. Michael Ross, here's one for you. Michael Ross, he's saying, what's he saying? Big score line, 8-1. 8-1.
I thought that was. I hope that's not Celtic's odds for the game. If that, then there's something that they're not telling us.
Saying 6-0, Neighbour, Alistair Ross 3-1, Pablo 67, 2-1 Celtic, Martin Davey 4-0. All confident that Celtic will win the game. Sandra Hill says 5-1. Sean Boyce says 5-0. Pete Scally Music 3-1 with Yang scoring. He's even given us a scorer. So there you go. But let everybody in confident mood going down to Rugby Park on Sunday. Mickey Moynihan 2-0 Celtic. Love it 4-0. Steve McFarlane 2-0. Michelle O'Neill 2-0. There was a 2 each there, wasn't there? Was that Brown Warrior?
Extra time.
2 each, extra time Kyogo winner. There you go. 2-0 from Viewmaster. And 4-0 and all different scorers, says Sean Anderson. They're all saying the same thing. Ryan, a Celtic win. Lots of them got it comfortable, except Brown Warrior, who's got Celtic going to extra time. There you go. Here's hoping that doesn't happen, Brown Warrior. No offence, but yes, you're allowed your opinion on the predictions. But yeah, excellent stuff. Well, guys, that's nearly 50 minutes. Dog interrupted. Sorry about that. Just couldn't believe how mental they went there, Ryan. Just hope it, as I say, apologies for that. Just hope it didn't spoil your enjoyment. Can't legislate for live morning briefing in the window cleaner turning up and upsetting their happy medium. But there you have it. Now, I'll be at Rugby Park on Sunday. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hopefully seeing another win, Ryan, and Celtic being in the hat for the draw, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Celtic know what they need to do in this game. They know that the game will be decided in 90 minutes or 120 minutes if they struggle, or penalties even further on from that. But yeah, all Celtic need to do, go out, play their game, play to the best of their ability, and the rest should hopefully follow. And hopefully their name is in the hat for the next round. It'll be a tough test. McInnes always sets his teams up really well. We know that from his Aberdeen days and from the way his Kilmarnock team has been playing so far this season. So yeah, it should be an interesting game, but hopefully Celtic should have too much for their opponents on Sunday afternoon.
myself and Ryan will see you on Sunday. We'll probably be on the briefing at some point for some after-match reaction. Is that right, Ryan? I'm sure we'll come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that we should be able to do that after the game. I don't know if we'll be doing it from. We might be doing it from your car, from the comforts of your car now, and I'll sort of man the ship from home. But yeah, if there is a possibility that we can go on and do a live video, then we'll endeavour to do so.
I just hope that my car's not as roasting as it was last week at Aberdeen. That was a sweatbox that I was in. I couldn't put the aircon on because it would make. Well, I say that now with the dogs going mental. I should have just shoved the aircon on last week for the noise it would have made. Give me some respect. But here's hoping the results the same. Ryan and Celtic do make their way into the next round, kick off the defence of the League Cup, and look out for the predicted 11s that will go in the newsletter from 5 onwards. Failing that, you'll see it in the article on the website. And also, speaking of the website, we ask you all the time, we've currently got a deal, £4 for 4 months, excellent value. Hit that subscribe button, guys, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, because it helps us provide these free videos and you help support top quality journalism covering the club you love in the process. Always result dependent, Ryan. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your contribution. Thanks for the comments, guys. We try and read out as many as we can. We'll do it all again at some point on Sunday. Take care.
Cheers, guys.